Well, I've done it again. I bought another project. I swore I wasn't going to buy any more projects until the Henry J was done, but hey, it runs and drives under its own power, so that's basically done, right? So I bought another project, and I bought another Henry J. This wasn't planned. This just kind of fell in our laps here, but it's a neat old car. It's got a lot of damage from a wreck. We'll look at that in just a minute. But we do have a purpose for this thing. We have a plan, and some of it will benefit my other Henry J. Some of it will, try to help this thing be a little more presentable. But this car was in Sweetwater, Tennessee, and I don't think it's been a race car for a long time. It's kind of hard to tell. There are some old pieces on it, but there's some new pieces too. So maybe it was an old car that somebody freshened up a little bit, but we'll get into some of that details there. But the biggest problem with this car is the wrecked front end. The fender is sitting over here. It's pretty much demolished. The hood's not bad. It's got a little kink in it, but it's definitely usable. But the biggest concern for me is the cowl panel is pushed back. You can see pretty significant hit there and an even more significant hit back here. And you can see there was already some rust issues there anyways, so it was a little bit weak. The real concern is whether or not the frame rail is hurt. Back here would be the concern in this bend area where it's naturally bent. Hopefully it's not tweaked too badly. But you can see here somebody did some pretty good fabrication work setting the motor back. They've got all that welded in nice. Motor mounts look pretty good. They're very simple, just flat pieces with a little gusset underneath. You could run like a Hearst style front mount with that with no problem whatsoever. And you can see somebody has already worked the brakes over. It's got a GM dual master cylinder. Everything's plumbed. It's got a distribution block down there. We've got a line lock mounted up here, and it has disc brakes. These are like an 80s GM disc brake setup mounted to that Ford style. I'm assuming that's a Ford style spindle. It might be Chevrolet, I'm not sure. But it does have a chrome front axle, a chrome tie rod, and you can see the bent steering arm down here. You can't see the bent part of it too badly from some of those angles, but it's definitely bent. So we got to get it on a frame machine and see what's actually hurt on it. The biggest concern to me, I know we can pull the frame out, but this body is hurt pretty badly. So when it hit the cowl panel, it busted this loose. You can see the cowl panel, this is supposed to be flat and it's running uphill. So that's hurt pretty badly. The dash panel's hurt. It pushed the A-post back, and that's why we're getting this poor fitment here on this door. It's just kind of, it doesn't meet up with the latch. It's at least, that's a good inch too far back. So there's definitely some work to be done there to try to make a car out of this. But you can see, obviously, radius quarter panels, they're not real great. It's just been cut and folded over. But you can see here some cool steel wheels. Looks like maybe some 15x7s. Firestone dragster cheater slicks. Those are really neat. They're dry rotted from sitting for a while, but still cool to look at. And back up to get a good full view of it, you'll see that this car is a little different than my other project in that it has tail lights in the fins and it has a deck lid. And the reason for that is my car's a 1951 and this is after that. So 52, 53, and 54 Henry J's had tail lights in the fins and they had a trunk, whereas 51s did not. So this car's got a real good stance to it. You can see the front's it's kind of sitting level, and obviously with an engine in it, it would be sitting lower in the front, but I think with some fresh springs on it, it'll sit properly. Probably my favorite part of the car, and it really kind of ties into some possible old history, is this back bumper. You can see it's made out of a threaded pipe with caps on it, and that's what guys would do. They would intentionally use the threaded ones so that you could unthread the bumper and fill it full of lead shot, and you would have a pretty good weight bar back here. So I don't know if that's original to the car. I mean, it looks like it belongs there, but I don't know. Underneath, let's take a look. There's another little piece there, master cutoff switch. That's good. Underneath, it's got a Ford 9-inch rear end, and looks like factory leaf springs. Nothing real exotic under here, but it does have, you know, it's got brake lines plumbed to it. It's got fuel system plumbed. Speaking of that, let's look in here under the trunk. Got a nice big fuel cell, already plumbed, all good to go. And you can see they welded in like a separate firewall for the back. And then back here, this is all nice and solid. Now somebody has welded this in. This is a patch panel. But the fact that this thing's not rotted out, this area was very susceptible to rust on these cars. Basically every area was susceptible to rust. These things rusted really bad. But a lot of good pieces here. Deck lid's pretty presentable. It's got a little bit of rust, but not bad. But you can see it's obviously in primer. Somebody has doctored it up a little bit. But it's got all of its original glass in it, aside from the windshield, which was busted out in the crash. And you can see that it's got rocker panels on it, which is extremely rare for a Henry J. These things just rotted out so badly. The floors, the rockers, the bottoms of everything, the front of the hood, everything would rust on these cars. But this one's pretty presentable. I think we could wash off some of the mold and make it a little more presentable, but no need to jump that quickly. Underneath, you can see, couldn't see it well from the other part of the back end, but it's got some really nice looking vintage ladder bars that have been mounts welded in. Those are cool. And then we've got, I guess we can open it up here. This door is a little, there we go. The inside, we got a little bit of insulation on that one. You can see that this car was originally a green color that they've painted over, obviously. But on the inside, there's some pretty good stuff to look at in here. This thing's got a 6-point roll bar that appears to have been professionally done. It's got some pretty good looking welds. I haven't seen exactly how it's tied in, but I saw like an outrigger up front that connects into the frame. That's a very good sign that somebody knew what they were doing. So we've got a cool 3-spoke steering wheel. Appears to be the original steering column. Somebody's kind of added a support there. This dash is homemade. You can see it's got a push button, probably a couple holes for toggle switches, a few holes for gauges, and then we've got a really neat looking tack right here. That's a cool piece. And then you can see the sheet metal from where they boxed in the firewall on the back side. You got a little bit of sheet metal here. I haven't looked under any of this, but anytime you got this stuff or carpet, it's just gonna hold the moisture and cause rust. So yeah, seeing that this thing has carpet in the floor is a little scary, because I just know that there's rust hiding under there. Maybe not too bad, I don't know. This thing definitely sat outside for a while. So in here, some of the goodies that were bonus material. Looks like a part of a seat. I don't even know if that's Henry J or not. Radiator support, it's been up bad. That's the upper part of the radiator support where the hood latches into. A couple of brake drums, they don't seem to be associated with this. A couple of super turbo mufflers, flywheel. Yeah, I don't know. So from what we can tell, this is an automatic car. I don't see any evidence of a shifter for 4-speed or a clutch pedal. But the way this thing is set up, it has a lot more room than on my red car. So I'll definitely be scoping out some ideas on how to increase my legroom. So I told you there was a purpose for this car. Outside of, fixing this thing, I have an idea on how to use some parts from this car on my red car. So this thing has some good doors on it. They've obviously been mudded up a little bit on the bottoms. Maybe had some patch panels welded in. You can see a little bit of Bondo flaking there. But my idea is to use this car because it has such good doors that are complete, and to improve my red car's door situation, because the red car, the doors have been gutted. So on the red car, none of this is present. None of this stuff right here. It doesn't have the window regulators or the tracks. It doesn't have any of this for the vent windows. Nothing is there. They've gutted all of it out for weight savings. And I like weight savings, but I also like having windows that I can roll up and down. I don't like the idea of a stationary Lexan window. So the plan is to cut the inner structure out of these doors and weld it to my red doors. And some people might say that that's a lot of work or that it'll never work, but I have faith that we can make it work. And the reason why I don't want to just put these doors on my red car is that it just wouldn't match. And for right now, I'm not planning on stripping my car down and painting it anytime soon, so I don't want gray doors on a red car. So cutting the insides out, putting them on my red doors to make it have functional windows. I'd obviously replace the glass with new glass, but that would drastically improve my car as far as streetability and comfort. So that's the plan as of right now, is to use this car as a little bit of a donor for my other car, and then go ahead and straighten this thing up a little bit and make a good roller out of it. So I don't know, we got plenty of parts laying around. We might stick some other kind of combination together for it. Underneath, here's that one of those outriggers for the roll bar. But ooh, that's some ugly stuff right there. But underneath, we've got a square tube transmission cross member, and then we've got another, just a round bar that I'm assuming is in there for strength. We've got a transmission, or a drive shaft loop. So somebody had some good thoughts as far as making this thing safe, making it strong. That's cool. I hadn't talked about that yet. Honest Charlie Speed Shop decal, you can't go wrong with that. That's local to us. That was Chattanooga, Tennessee, world's first mail order speed shop. Then we got some other modern decals, good guys in SRA, and then some B-gas markings on it. But overall, a really kind of a neat stance on this car. A lot of potential to build something cool out of it. Here's a closer look at the fender. You can see pretty much smashed. Not much you can do with that. The hood is very buildable, very usable. We can make something good out of that. And here's a really special piece of this that came with this car. And I don't know if it's actually special or not, but it's really stood out to me. And honestly, I don't know if this was on this car or if it, I don't know. I don't know the deal. But these are Krager front runners, 15x4s. And that's not all that uncommon. Obviously, this is not usable. It's destroyed and the tire is junk. But my old Henry J, my red car that I've been working on all year, in the pictures that I have of it from the 1970s, it has a set of Krager front runners on it. Again, that was not that uncommon. But what was uncommon are these tires. So in those pictures, I was able to zoom in way in so I could see every little detail of my old car. And in those pictures, it had a set of Mohawk Meteor front runner tires on it. And I'm kind of a tire nerd. I know tires a lot. I've worked with tires as a career for the last 16 years. And it's the only time I've ever seen Mohawk Meteor tires in use on any car, was that picture of my red Henry J when it was running. So the fact that this tire and wheel setup came with this Henry J, it just, I mean, I don't know, it just feels kind of like it was meant for me to have that, just as a wall hanger. And you know, I'm not trying to say that that was the exact tire and wheel that was on my Henry J. It would be cool if it was, but I'm not saying that. It's just a neat wall hanger. So anyways, neat old car. Obviously they have cut out here, I'm assuming, for some fender well headers, but these cars don't have a lot of room for fender well headers. But a lot of neat old details. It's got a pretty good look, a little bit of cleaning, cool set of tires and wheels, fresh windshield would help it a lot, and we'd have us another really neat Henry J gasser. So figured you guys would want to see it. I know I'm obsessive over these things, and I'm living up to my Hot Rod Hoarder name by hoarding up all these cars, and specifically Henry J's. But I love them, can't help it. Hopefully my kids love them, because they're going to be stuck with a bunch of junk one day.